Morning. Another 2 minutes before we start. We'll be starting shortly. So, good morning. Welcome. Just getting our technology set up here. We'll be starting in a moment. So make sure you have your comfortable seat set up, however you'd like to start, maybe on your mat. Sometimes having a blanket folded on the mat is a nice spot to sit, and if you have a block or bolster, just to ideally raise the hips a little higher than the knees. You can always start lying on your back, and another option too is to start seated in a chair. So really it's about what's going to be most conducive to your sense of comfort and ease. Just finish up our technological aspects here and get rolling momentarily. Okay, great. Thanks for joining. Let's go ahead and start and find a comfortable seat. And we'll spend a few minutes here just grounding ourselves, getting settled, really beginning to feel sensation inwardly, connecting with our breath. Really start to feel aware of the weight, the gravity sinking you down in your seat. That you're really feeling the press points of the sits bones. So you feel a solidness, but without collapse. So this might at times sound paradoxical, but we want that sense of weightedness, but there's still a natural upward lift through. So really observe this through the spinal column. It's naturally extending out of the pelvis and lifting upward here without any sort of force and artificial exaggeration of that lift. So we want to keep the chin parallel to the floor. And if you envision that string, imaginary string coming right up the top of the head, ever so lightly lifting you upward toward the ceiling. Let the shoulder heads relax away from the ears. And even the shoulder blades, the scapula in the back body, sliding down the back. Now, depending on your level of comfort, you can allow the knees to splay out to the side in Sukhasana, seated easy pose. And for some people, this might not be comfortable in the hips, so feel free to cross at the shin bones and keep the femur more perpendicular to the torso if that feels better for you. Alternatively, taking the legs out in front. But whichever method you choose to position your legs, continue to feel that rootedness and groundedness in the pelvis. Continue to feel that lift through the spinal column. If you haven't done so, go ahead and close the eyes to bring the attention inward. And the idea of focusing that attention inward is to connect with sensation in the body. So if turning the attention inward allows the mind to start to wander and be distracted, various thoughts, and just see if you can allow those thoughts to pass by, let them go, don't hang on to them, and bring that awareness back to sense, the senses, the sensual feeling, this really connecting inwardly with not only physical sensation, observing, noticing any sounds you might hear, whether external, outside your house, maybe a bird squawking at times, or maybe a vehicle driving by, or a dog barking. So these sorts of alerts of a sense, in one regard, might feel as if they're pulling us away from ourselves. We hear a dog barking. But it's being aware of the response to it. And being at peace with what is as it is. So these opportunities to come to a comfortable seat and really turn the attention inward and connect with sensation, connect with the breath, allow us also to cultivate a sense of acceptance and peace with things as they exist. So rather than me having a reaction to a dog barking, thinking, I wish that would stop so that I could focus and concentrate, it's not allowing myself to get caught up in that reaction to it. It's just an observation. Oh, there's a dog barking. And then let it go. So we do the same thing with thoughts in the mind. When they come, just, oh, there's a thought, let it go. Of course, just a great reminder that focusing the awareness on the breath really affords us the opportunity to continually anchor back into that present moment. So when I find my mind gets caught up with thoughts and running away with, oh, I have to remember to do this later, I'll set that aside and come back to focus on the breath. Focusing on the breath allows me to be ever present again. As you're maintaining the focus on the breath, observe on the inhale how the barrel of the chest, the rib cage, notice how it expands outward on the inhale. Really in four directions. Broadly going out to the right side, the left side, the front and the back, and then there's also that lift upward. Notice there's a real beauty in the body, the way it moves with breath. I remember in junior high school, the science lab, having the skeleton, and I'm sure all of us experienced that at some point in our education, skeleton hanging on a rack in the corner. It seemed very static. But in each of us, our skeleton is so alive and fluid, and it moves. It's quite remarkable to think that my young mind viewed this as being very solid, but our bones move, they change, we continue to strengthen them through activity, through our choice of diet. Weight-bearing exercises are so vital to our bone density and well-being. But in this moment, taking the opportunity just to observe how the breath impacts the skeletal structure. How the lungs expanding and filling with air cause the barrel of the chest really to expand outward. Recently I compared it to the way that waves gently roll into the edge of the shoreline and then recede back out. Just this gentle flow, ebb and flow. Let's go ahead and bring our palms pressing gently together. Let's bring the thumbs toward heart-centered Anjali Mudra. A few more breaths here, noticing how the inhale presses forward on the sternum against the thumbs slightly. And conversely on the exhale, that slight pulling back. Backward motion or maybe downward motion. Let's go ahead and allow the hands to come back down to the thighs. We're going to start with just some soft, small, slow, gentle movements here, making circular motion here of the torso, pressing down through the sits bones on one side as you come forward, circling around the back and coming forward on the opposite side. Slow movements to begin with. Just observe where you're feeling sensation. Maybe it's some tightness today, maybe not, but if you observe any area of excess tension or tightness, or not excess, but maybe just slightly more than you're accustomed to, if you can envision sending the breath there. And if you do actually want to spend a few moments just kind of slowly going back and forth over that spot, maybe it's the hip, maybe the low back. Start to move in the opposite direction now. Again, slow movements to begin with. Couple more circles. And now start to exaggerate the motion. So as you lean forward, press into the palms, take the chest through the center, maybe bring the shoulder motion into it and the head and neck as well, moving gently with some control in the head, so we're not letting it collapse and fall backwards. And then alternate the direction and begin to move in a circular motion in the alternate. Again, just moving back and forth over any area that you might feel some tension or tightness. And eventually coming to an upright position, where you're really rooting through the sits bones, spinal column lifting upward. Let's go ahead and take the arms out to the side. Fingertips are touching down to the mat. Now rotate at the shoulders so the palms face upward and inhale the arms up overhead. Reach and extend the arms right up through the entire side body down to the side waist. Extend the fingertips upward. Let's bring the arms down to cactus arms, 90-degree angle so the palms facing forward. Feel as if you can slightly bring the elbows toward the wall behind you, so you broaden the front chest, upper chest, collarbones, with the scapula coming slightly together. On an exhale, let's bring the elbows together as we tuck the chin toward the chest. Inhale and take the elbows apart again. Now on the exhale, we'll again bring the elbows together, tuck the chin, feel as if you're rocking slightly back on the pelvis. And as you inhale and take the elbows apart, a slight rock forward on the pelvis, lead with the sternum, gaze up to the ceiling as your chin comes off the chest. Again, a couple more cycles now. See if you can maintain the elbows as high as the shoulders or moving in that direction, ultimately determined by what feels right for your body. And if it doesn't feel comfortable, then by all means, keep the elbows lower than the shoulders. It's really about attuning to the sensation in your body and what feels best and optimal for your individual practice. Now the next time the arms come out to the side, go ahead and straighten them. Again, turn the palms up. Inhale the arms overhead. Turn the torso over the right thigh, lower the arms. Left hand down to the right thigh. Right hand falls to the floor behind the back. Pressing either on the palm itself or on tented fingers. Give additional lift through the spinal column. And gaze over the right shoulder if it feels okay for the neck. Breathing deeply into the side body in this twist. After that next exhale, we're going to inhale the arms back up overhead as you bring the torso to center. Now as you exhale, coming to the left hand side and bring that right palm to the left thigh, left hand close in behind. Again, press down through the palm or fingers of the left hand to give additional lift through the spinal column. Continue to feel the string up the crown of the head gently lifting you as you elongate the spinal column upward. Breathing deeply. One more deep breath. And on the exhale, inhale the arms up overhead through center. Now let's take the right hand down to the floor on the right. Start to come over toward a C curve, but make sure you keep the left sit bone rooted down. You notice it start to lift, anchor it back down. Reach and extend the right fingertips toward, the left fingertips toward the wall on your right hand side. Feel an openness and broadness through the left side of the body, those intercostal muscles amongst the ribs, really activated and spreading here. Breathing deeply into that side body. Option here to move the head side to side slowly, really feeling some gentle movement in the neck as you turn the head gently side to side. And as we exhale next, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. And this time let's lower the left hand down to the side and reach and extend the right fingertips toward the wall on the left hand side. Slight C curve here. See that we don't collapse into the left hand, just there to prop us or brace us without bearing undue weight into it. Really feeling that stretch and extension of the entire side body here. One more time an option to move the head side to side. Breathe deeply. And now inhale the torso upright, both arms up overhead. And now lowering the hands down to this side. So we're going to roll over onto our hands and knees. Go ahead and remove any block or bolster you may have had, but feel free to keep a blanket under your knees, or maybe double up your mat. As we find ourselves in tabletop position, we'll move through some cat and cow poses here. Remember, on the exhale, you arch the back and tuck the chin. Notice the pelvis rocks inward. On the inhale, soften the belly, rock the pelvis back, chin off the chest, and the gaze toward the front wall or slightly up to the ceiling. Again, exhale, arch the back, tuck the chin like a hissing cat. Inhale, coming to cow pose. Several cycles with the rhythm of your breath. A few reminders about the hand placement here. See if you can keep the arms as straight as possible. Spread the fingers wide, pressing through all 5 fingers. Slightly feel like you're pulling the fingers back in the direction of the palm. You might notice a bit of lift in the first knuckle here, or the middle knuckle. That actually assists in activating more of the hand fully. And avoid bearing undue weight in the wrist crease here. We want the predominant weight bearing to be in the thumb mound and pointer finger mound, and slightly out on the edge, back edge of the mound of the little finger. Come back to neutral tabletop position. Let's go ahead and come to child's pose. So sink the buttocks back to the heels. Option to take the knees wide to the outside edge of the mat. Lower the forehead down to the floor. For some, the forehead might not reach. You can always stack your fists or palms and rest your head on your forehead on the stacked hands. If you have a block handy, that's a nice option as well, to bring that onto your mat and rest your forehead on the block. As we come out of child, so back to tabletop position. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and raise the left leg out behind us. Reach and extend it. Hug the muscles to the bone. Sole of the foot reaches to the wall behind you. Still feel a long line through the spinal column as the crown of the head continues to reach forward. Now see if you can raise the heel of the left leg a little higher up toward the ceiling, keeping the hips squared off and parallel. You'll really just notice this in the hip flexor of the left butt cheek. Lowering the knee back down to the ground. Now raise the right leg out behind you. Keep the hips parallel to begin with. Hug the muscles to the bone and step the sole of the foot to the wall behind you as the crown of the head continues to reach forward. And once more on this side now. Raise the heel a bit higher up, but keep the hips squared off and parallel. Really noticing how much more activation there is in the hip flexor, maybe even in the hip rotator. Lower that knee back down. Pardon me. We'll go ahead and raise the left leg out behind us. Let's walk the fingertips of the right hand forward toward the front of the mat on tented fingers. Perhaps the hand comes right forward of the mat and off the mat. Now with a deep core engagement here, pulling the belly button toward the back spine, engaging the transverse abdominis. Option to raise the right hand off the ground and then turn the palm inward. Reach the fingertips forward as you reach the sole of the left foot back. Bend the left leg 90-degree angle, sole of the foot sort of facing the ceiling now, and take the right hand and reach back and grab on to the front shoelace edge of the foot and press the foot into the hand. Beautiful. Release the foot, bring the arm back out in front, the leg behind you, lower both of those down. Now we'll raise the right leg off the mat, stretch it out behind you. Walk the left hand forward on tented fingers, engage the deep core abdominal muscles. Raise the left hand off the mat, turn the palm to face inward. Now bending the right knee, 90-degree angle, take the left hand back, reach the foot, and then keep pressing the foot into the hand. You might come right across the foot and grab the outside edge of it, or perhaps you want to grab the inside edge of it. Really, it's about what feels best in your body. Keep pressing the foot into the hand. Release the foot and bring the arm and knee back down to the ground. Beautiful. We're going to go ahead and prepare to come to down dog here. So as you sink the buttocks slightly back, tuck the toes with the knees bent, pressing through the palms, lift the hips back as you take them up. Keep taking them back. Then start to walk your dog out so you can bend one knee as you drop the heel of the opposing foot and then moving to the opposite side. Slowly moving side to side here. Notice you keep lifting out of the palms as you take the hips further back to prevent having the shoulders coming forward more over the palms. You really want to keep the arms straight and take the hips back. Coming to a neutral downward dog. Now lift the right foot about an inch off the ground and bring it behind the left leg as you lower the toes back to the ground, the small toes of each foot alongside one another. This really activates the back line of the leg. If it's too much sensation, you can bend the knees. Continue to lift out of the palms. Remember, you're always in the driver's seat at any point. You can come out and take a rest by dropping to your knees and coming to child's pose. Uncross the legs, bring the right foot back to its original position. Take the left leg behind the right, lower the foot to the ground, small toes touching one another. And lift that left leg and lower it back down to its original position. Go ahead and drop down to the knees, and we'll come to child's pose again. Lower the forehead down to the mat as you sink the buttocks back to the heels. You can either keep the arms stretched out in front of you in extended child's pose, or if you'd like the full expression of child's pose, you bring the arms alongside the body, resting on the back of the hand, palms facing up. And just taking an opportunity here to really integrate what's transpired so far, not only in this practice, but in your day. Connecting with sensation, connecting with the breath, checking the state of the mind. Now as you come back up to out of child's pose to tabletop, go ahead momentarily, just sit on the heels in Heroes or Thunderbolt pose here and have a look at the screen. I'm just going to walk through quickly Cat Series 2, and then I'll verbally walk us through it so that you don't need to look at the screen while we're doing it. But for those who aren't familiar with it, having a quick observation might be useful beforehand. So I'll walk through it very quickly, faster than we're going to be doing it, just to visually demonstrate. From our child's pose, the arms, extended child's pose, arms stretched out in front of us, we're resting the forearm on the ground, forehead on the ground. And then inhale, we're coming up to cat bow. Notice the forearms are still on the ground as you lift the hips. And then straightening the arms into cow pose.
And as you exhale, coming to cat, arch the back, tuck the chin, and sink the buttocks back to child's pose. So it's quite a simple flow here, cat series B. So we're starting in child's pose, cat bow, coming up to cow, exhale to cat, and sink the buttocks back, child's pose. So let's go ahead and do several cycles of those. So coming to child's pose, I'll walk us through it. Recognize I'm going to offer a pace that you're welcome to follow along with. If you'd like to go faster, feel free to modify it and go at your own pace with the rhythm of your breath. Coming onto the forearms in cat bow, chin off the chest. Straighten the arms as you come up to cow. On an exhale, arch the back, tuck the chin to the chest, cat. And continuing on the exhale, sink the buttocks back and come to child's pose. Take a full breath. And again, on the inhale, coming to cat bow on the forearms. Straighten the arms into cow pose. Exhale as you come to cat, arch the back and tuck the chin. And continuing on that exhale, sink the buttocks back, child's pose. Lower the forehead down to the mat. Inhale, cat bow. Coming up to cow pose with straight arms. Exhale to cat pose. Sink the buttocks back, child's pose. Again, inhale, coming to cat bow on the forearms. Straighten the arms into cow. Exhale as you arch the back and tuck the chin, cat. Sink the buttocks back to the heels in child's pose. Rest the forehead down. Two more. Coming onto the forearms in cat bow. On that inhale, you can straighten the arms, cow. Now as you exhale, you arch the back, tuck the chin. Continue on the exhale by sinking back to child's pose, forehead to the mat. Last one now, cat bow on the forearms, chin off the chest. Straighten the arms to cow. Exhale, cat pose. And coming down to child's pose. Couple of breaths here, and then we're going to incorporate a couple of changes into that as we come to cat series C momentarily. So once again, coming up into hero's pose or thunderbolt, have a look forward at the screen as I introduce the additional elements into that flow sequence so that we can incorporate down dog as well. So watch here momentarily. I'll walk us through more quickly so we can get on to the moving through the flow, but also starting in child's pose, we come onto the forearms in cat bow. As we straighten the arms into cow, we're going to go ahead and tuck the toes as we lift back into down dog. We're going to hold 2 breaths here, but I'll just walk us through for now. And from there, as we exit, we drop the knees, tuck the chin, arch the back into cat pose. And then as you take the chin off the chest, sink the buttocks back to the heels for child's pose. So that's the full sequence. I'll walk us through it now. From child's pose, again, come on the forearm, cat bow. Straighten the arms into cow pose. As you tuck the toes, lift back into a down dog here. Lift the hips high, lift out of the hands, take the hips back. 2 full breaths. Now on the exhale, drop the knees, tuck the chin, come into cat pose. Lift out of the palms. As you take the chin off the chest, drop the buttocks back to the heels, lower the forehead down to the mat, child's pose. And we'll flow through the cycles a few more times. Come on the arms in cat bow. Lift up onto straight arms in cow. Tuck the toes and lift the hips back into down dog. 2 breaths. On the exhale, drop the knees, tuck the chin, come into cat pose. Chin off the chest, sink the buttocks back, child's pose.
breaths. Rest here for 2 breaths, and we'll do 2 more cycles of this.
On the inhale, come to the forearm, cat bow. Continue on the inhale, straighten the arms, cow pose. Tuck the toes, lift the hips back to downward dog.
2 breaths here. On the second exhale, drop the knees, tuck the chin to the chest, cat pose. And chin off the chest as you sink the buttocks back to the heels for child's pose. Pause here for 2 breaths, and then we'll take our final cat series C.
Coming onto the forearms in cat bow. Straighten the arm into cow pose. Tuck the toes, lift yourself back to down dog for 2 breaths.
The second exhale, we'll drop the knees, tuck the chin to the chest, cat pose. So take the chin off the chest, sink the buttocks back to the heels for child's pose. 2 breaths here.
As you come out of that pose, we're going to come up to tabletop position. And now we're going to come down onto our abdomen, lying flat on the mat. The feet will splay outward. So we're going to be coming toward a cobra pose. And there's some important elements in any sort of back bend to really protect the low back. In this case, we really want to feel an awareness of pressing the pelvis down into the ground, pressing the legs into the ground, and the shoelaces of the feet, which are splayed outward now. So we're going to go ahead and rest the forehead down to the mat. We're going to bend our arms and place the palms about just below the shoulders, fingertips facing forward. Keep the elbows in tight to the rib cage. And now, as you prepare to come forward, think more forward than up for a slight back bend in cobra. Press the palms firmly and feel as if you're trying to slide the palms back in the direction of the wall behind you. And come forward and then start to lift the chest slightly off the mat. Keep pressing the pelvis down. Really crucial to protect our low back here. Notice that the pressing of the hands, you're trying to scrub the hand, pull it back to the wall behind you. That elongates the spinal column as you lift up here. Keep pressing down through the pelvis, press through the legs, press the feet down. Reach the sternum forward. And go ahead and lower the forehead down to the mat. Pause here for a few breaths. So we'll prepare to come to a cobra once again. Pressing through the palms, scrub the hands backwards and elongate the spine forward as you lift the chest slightly off the mat. Keep pressing down through the pelvis. Breathing here. Always breathing. Notice that there's a tendency ever to grip or hold the breath back up if that ever occurs. It's an indication of going past your edge. Lowering the forehead down to the mat. Now as we prepare to come to Sphinx pose, walk the hands slightly forward so that the elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. And then lifting up the 90-degree angle here, the forearm is resting flat on the mat. The humerus perpendicular to the ground with an elbow directly underneath the shoulder. Palms pressing down. Keep pressing the pelvis down. Sphinx pose. Press the pelvis to protect the low back. Feel a sense of ease and lightness in the head and neck so that you're not crunching into the shoulders here. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and lower the forehead down to the mat. And then pressing ourselves back. We're going to tuck our toes and come up toward down dog here. So lift the hips high and back. In down dog. Now we're going to raise the right leg up behind us. Reach and extend the right leg high, the heel toward the ceiling, so the foot to the wall behind you. As you bend the knee, we're going to plant it by the right thumb now. Either swing it through or walk it a few steps forward if that's how you need to bring it so that your foot flat on the ground, knee directly over the ankle. The back toes are tucked, lifting that left shin high off the mat, hands on each side of the foot. Feel the elongation of the spinal column. Crown of the head keeps reaching forward. So we're going to prepare to come up to a warrior lunge. You can maintain the back toes tucked here. Take the torso off the thigh. Inhale the arms up alongside the ear. The variation or modification for this is to keep the back knee down here. Equestrian pose, horse rider pose with the knee dropped. Some traditions refer to this as crescent moon. If you're in a full warrior lunge, notice that the back toes are trying to take the mat to the wall behind you as you root through the four corners of the front foot really solidly. We'll go ahead and lower the hands down to each side of the foot. We're going to take tuck the right toes if the knee was on the ground. Just take the right leg back to meet the left. High plank position for 2 breaths here. So keep the hips high enough up that they're not sagging down, straight line here, and not too high that it's coming more toward a down dog position. Go ahead and drop to the knees, sink the buttocks back, child's pose. 2 breaths here. Coming back up toward tabletop, now tuck the toes and come to down dog. Lift the hips high and back. Raise the left leg up behind you, reach and extend it to the ceiling as you take the sole of the foot to the wall behind. As you bend the knee, bring the foot planted by the left thumb down. High runner's lunge to start. Elongate the spinal column, crown of the head reaching forward, lift that right shin high off the mat, forward knee, left knee directly over the ankle. So either coming into warrior lunge and inhale the arms up alongside the ears as you raise the torso, or feel free to drop that back knee if you're called to. Finding that sense of steadiness of mind, connecting with the breath. This time as you lower the hands to the outside edge of each of the forward foot, if you've got the back knee dropped, come onto tuck toes and bring off that foot hanging forward, fold at the front of the mat. Center of gravity directly over the feet. Bend the knees so the belly rests on the shin, on the thighs, and let the head hang heavy. So we want to allow the muscles in the back of the neck to relax. The arms are just hanging like empty coat sleeves. And now ragdoll the spine upwards. So we keep the knees bent, we keep the chin tucked to the chest. We slowly start to lift ourselves up to standing. 1 vertebra at a time as we rise up really probably half the speed you initially think you want to be going, eventually coming to full upright position, standing in mountain pose at the front of your mat. Feeling grounded and rooted through the four corners of each foot. Feeling action and activation in the muscles of the body. Engaging the muscles, hugging them around, particularly the leg bones. Feel the lift of the spinal column upward. That again, imaginary string coming up through the crown of the head. Let's go ahead and broaden the front upper chest by rotating at the shoulders here so that the palms face forward. But really notice you're not just turning the palms forward, you're rotating the entire arm. And observe what happens with the scapula and the back body when you do that and how they come toward one another. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and come to some sun salutations, incorporating that flow which we have just been doing. So we're going to take the arms and circle them around up overhead. And as you come through into swan dive, remember to bend the knees if needed, coming to a hanging forward fold. As you inhale for halfway lift now, palms might come partway up the shins because we want to have a straight spine. Exhale, come into forward fold. And we'll take the right leg back behind us with the toes tucked, high runner's lunge. If you're coming to warrior lunge, inhale the torso up, arms alongside the ears, otherwise drop that back knee if you're coming to crescent moon. And as you bring the hands back down on each side of the foot, take the left leg back to meet the right, high plank position, 2 breaths. And press back to down dog. Raise the right leg up behind you. Bend the knee, plant the right foot near the right thumb mound. High runner's lunge on the opposite side. And inhale the torso overhead, arms alongside the ears. Option to drop the back knee. As you bring the torso back to the side, hands on each side of the foot, bring off that back foot, hanging forward fold. Excuse me. Reverse swan dive, sink the buttocks, bend the knees, circle the arms, root through the feet, rise up to standing, arms up overhead, and then down to heart center. Pause here, 2 breaths. Samastatihi with hands at Anjali Mudra. We'll repeat this flow on the opposite side. Circle the arms around and come to a swan dive here. Hanging forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, take the hands to the mat. And this time we'll take the left leg back as we reverse the direction on this round. High runner's lunge. Inhale the torso up, bring the arms alongside the ears. Option to drop the back knee. Holding steady with the breath. Go ahead and lower the hands, right foot back to meet the left, high plank position, 2 breaths. And press back to down dog. Raise the left leg up behind you. Reach and extend it back. Bend the knee, plant it by the left thumb mound. High runner's lunge. Inhale the arms overhead as you raise the torso off the thigh.
As you bring the hands to each side of the foot, spring off that back foot, coming into a hanging forward fold. And reverse swan dive, sink the buttocks, circle the arms, rise up to standing arms overhead, and down to heart center. Pause here, 2 breaths, connect with the breath. Check with the state of the mind. Observe sensation in the body. Beautiful, open the eyes, flowing through. 1 more on each side. So preparing for Surya Namaskar Series A. Circle the arms around overhead. Coming into a swan dive, fingertips in front of the toes. Inhale, diver's pose, halfway lift, bring the spine to a straight position. Exhale, plant the palms, take the right leg back behind us. Inhale the arms alongside the ears. So only you know what is your appropriate level today. And if having the knee down feels appropriate, maybe see if it's possible to tuck the toes and lift the knee. But if that doesn't feel right, then by all means keep the knee down. Lower the hands down each side of the foot, tucking the right toes, take the left leg back to meet it. High plank position. Again, if you need a modification here, drop the knees. Press back to down dog. Raise the right leg up behind you. Reach and extend to the wall behind. Bend the knee, plant it by the right thumb now. Inhale the torso up, arms overhead. And as we plant the palms, spring off that back foot, hanging forward fold. Reverse swan dive, bend the knees, circle the arms, raise them overhead and down heart center. 2 breaths. And then on the opposite side, leading now with the left, circle the arms around, coming into a swan dive. Fingertips toward the toes. Inhale, halfway lift for divers. Exhale, plant the fingertips. Now take the left leg back behind. Inhale the torso up off of that thigh. Raise the arms. While the fingertips are reaching upward, there's separation of the front side of the shoulders with the scapula coming slightly together in the back body. As you breathe the arms back down on each side of the foot, take the right leg back to meet the left, high plank position. 2 breaths. And press back to down dog. Raise the left leg up behind you, reach and extend. Bend the knee, plant it by the left thumb now. Inhale the torso up, arms alongside the ears. And as you bring the torso back down, fingertips on each side of the foot, spring off that back foot, hanging forward fold. Reverse swan dive, bend the knees, circle the arms around, up overhead, down to heart center. Beautiful. Excellent. Let's go ahead and release the hands. We'll come into a standing balance pose, tree pose, for a little bit of weight bearing on the legs today. We've done a little bit supported in our warrior lunges here, but let's do single legs here. Root down through the right foot, tip toes to the left foot, open the hip out to the side, rest the heel just above the ankle. Feel the active engagement by having the muscles to the bone and the upward lift through the torso, crown of the head reaching to the ceiling. Option to bring the foot off the ground and bring the sole to the thigh, the inner leg on the calf or the thigh. Always avoiding putting the foot on the knee. If you've got the sole of the foot on the leg, really feel that adduction as you press the foot into the leg and the leg back into the foot, noticing an activation in the hip flexors. Hands might come to Anjali Mudra at heart center, or bring them up alongside the ear like branches of a tree, or maybe interlace into temple. Finding a soft spot to rest that focused drishti gaze. Releasing the hands. Release the leg off the other leg and just sort of shake it out as you maintain standing on the foot that was on the ground, and now swap up to the other side. Root down through the left foot, tiptoes of the right foot, and again opening toward a 90-degree angle, the hinging of the right leg out to the side like opening a gate. Option again to raise the foot, bring it to the inner calf or the inner thigh, wherever it lands, really adducting, pressing the foot into the leg and vice versa. Hands, again, either to heart center or raise them alongside the ears or coming toward temple and interlacing them. Soft drishti gaze again. You release the hands and release that leg, and again just sort of move it around, maybe lubricating the hip joint a little bit here as you engage the standing leg. Putting that right foot on the ground. And we're going to move down toward our mat into a seated position. So just finding your way down. You can always your blanket if that's your preference, or doubling up the mat. You're going to really connect the sits bones down to the mat, walk the flesh off the sits bones. We're going to come into some lateral twists here. So we'll bend the right leg and just bring it to the outside of the right ankle to the outside of the left thigh. You're going to take the left arm, either wrap the palm around the right upper shin or the elbow pit, whichever allows you more space. Activate the left leg, dorsiflexion of the foot, hug the muscles to the bone, toes are pointing up, take the right arm out in front of you, start to circle it around to the right hand side at shoulder height, following the horizon if you will, until it goes no further. Then let the hand come down to the mat. Press down through that hand to give additional lift through the spinal column as you root through the sits bones, extend up through the crown of the head. Some people in these twists prefer to release the hand from the leg and bring the arm to the outside edge of the thigh to give a little additional twist here. So if that's your preference, whether you've got a straight arm or some people prefer to bend it, whichever you prefer. Otherwise, just keep the hand or elbow pit around the front side of the leg. So you keep pressing through the sits bones, you keep elongating the spine, you keep lifting through the crown, you keep the outstretched leg active and engaged. Hug the muscles to the bone, dorsiflexion of the foot. As you raise the right arm off the ground, bring it back around in front. Release the left leg, just a brief counter movement in the opposite direction, really just an opportunity to move the organs around. Open toward the left-hand side as you gaze over your left shoulder. Beautiful. Coming back towards center and cross the legs. We'll repeat that on the opposite side. Cross the left leg, bring it to the outside of the right leg. Again, either the palm or the elbow pit to begin. Take the left arm out in front of you, shoulder height. Again, take it across the horizon, follow it toward the wall behind you, and eventually when it goes no further, let it come down to the ground. Again, utilize that hand. Press through the palm or tented fingers to give additional lift through the spinal column.
root through the sits bones. Keep pressing the extended leg into the mat as you engage, hugging the muscles, dorsiflexion in the foot. Option again to release that leg, the hand, the right arm from the left leg, and bring it to the outside edge of the left thigh, if that's your preference. Always connected with the breath, always checking the state of the mind. When thoughts come, as they will, just let them pass by. Raising the left arm off the ground, bring it round in front, and just a brief counter movement in the opposite direction. Take the right hand behind you, gaze over the right shoulder, a little bit of more space in the abdomen. Coming back towards center, uncross the legs, taking hands just alongside the body, just to prop yourself as you shake the legs out here. Now bend the knees at a 90-degree angle, soles of the feet flat on the ground. You can take the feet to the outside edges of the mat and start to windshield wiper a little bit. So you might notice that you're slightly leaning back a little bit, just giving additional space in the hips here to allow this beautiful hip opening. So we're going to come down into reclined cobbler or butterfly pose, or someone might call this goddess as well. As you lower your torso down toward the ground, we're going to bring the soles of the feet to touch one another and let the knees splay out toward the ground. The arms may be alongside the body, but it can be nice to bend the elbows and have the arm 90-degree angle, rest the palms on the belly. One option, bring the fingertips to touch over the belly. Another option, bring the hands into a diamond pattern with the thumb and pointer finger of each hand touching one another, placing that diamond just around the navel. And really taking this opportunity to observe again the way the breath impacts the body. For many people, this is very relaxing. If you're one of those individuals where you find this a little unpleasant on the hips to stay here too long, go ahead and bring the knees up toward one another. Otherwise, keep the legs splayed open in butterfly. As we bring the knees back together, we're going to go ahead and have the right knee in toward the chest and then straighten the left leg out along the ground in front of you. Take your left hand to the outside edge of the right thigh and bring the right leg across midline of the body. So you're bringing the right knee to the left side of the mat. Take the right arm out in a T formation and gaze over that right shoulder. Now the shoulder might lift slightly off the mat, but keep the forearm and hand pressing into the mat. And of course the right butt cheek is lifted straight off the mat, and really noticing that perhaps you're noticing a lot of activation in the hip flexor here. Almost similar sensation to doing pigeon pose or figure 4. Bring the head back to center, raise the right leg back to midline. Lower the leg, straighten it out in front of you, raise the left leg as you bend it and hug the left knee in toward the chest. Take the right hand to the outside edge of the left thigh. Take the left arm away in a T formation and start to lower the left leg off the right hand side of your mat as you feel this beautiful lateral twist here. Slight gaze over the left shoulder here. And breathing deeply. As you bring the head back to center, raise the leg back up, and bend both knees again, hugging them in toward the chest. Maybe a gentle rocking side to side. Really notice that although there's a tendency to curl into a ball, if you could spread the lower part of the back into the mat. The sacrum pressing into the low mat here. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and straighten the legs up toward the ceiling. The arms can be alongside the body. In fact, pressing down in the palms can give a little more engagement here. So there's a little activation in the abdominal muscles. We're not trying to do any sort of core work per se, but more allowing the opportunity of this natural drainage opposite of the effects of gravity, which has to pump blood from the legs up to the heart. This evidence to show that this sort of raising the legs allows the lymphatic system to drain. If you find it too much activity, you can always bend the knees and have the shin bones parallel to the ceiling if that feels better. Now if you want a little bit of core activation, as you press down through the palms, slowly lowering the legs down toward the ground. As we prepare to move toward Shavasana, so if you need to, feel free to spend a moment to grab an article of clothing or a blanket or something to feel a sense of warmth and comfort as we come to our final resting pose, Shavasana. So lying flat on your back. The legs traditionally are stretched out in front and the feet splay outwards slightly, allowing a little bit of opening in the hips. The arms alongside the body, backs of the hands on the ground so that the palms and fingertips are facing upward. Resting more on the occipital ridge in the back of the skull, and that might necessitate raising the head for a moment to elongate the back line of the neck. And as you rest it back down on the mat, notice you're on the occipital ridge here. Some people find it useful. It creates a greater sense of openness in the front of the chest to ever so slightly rock onto each shoulder head. It's not very exaggerated. It's a very small, minimal gesture. But by slightly tucking the shoulder blades underneath you, it creates more of a broadness in the front part of the upper chest. But ultimately, you want to feel completely at ease. And if any of those sort of modifications are causing distractibility of the mind, so too much focus on sensation, here in this point, unlike our opening meditation where we're actually focusing on sensation, here we really want a sense of complete letting go, complete relaxation, complete rest. And so if any of these modifications, like rolling of the shoulder blades, isn't optimal for you, then allow yourself to release that and rest fully. Take the opportunity to scan the awareness through the body and observe if you may be gripping or clenching in any way, anywhere. Invite some greater sense of letting go, greater sense of release. And finally bringing the awareness to the third eye. So right in between the eyebrows. And this time bring that a point of awareness about 3 or 4 inches in front of the skull. Focusing your attention at this point.
even just asking the question, can I let go a little more? Is there an opportunity to feel a greater sense of relaxation? What am I still holding or gripping that I can just release? Now with one deep inhale, reawakening the body. Start to make some slow, small movements here. Just bringing some sensation, some awareness, some movement back to the body, and starting to move in any way that feels restorative and reinvigorating. Now eventually hugging the knees in toward the chest. And a gentle rocking side to side before landing on the right hand side in a fetal position. And as you stretch out the upper leg and press into the upper arm, bringing yourself up to a seated position to close the practice in a similar fashion to which we began. And once you find your comfortable seat, go ahead and press the palms gently together, bringing the thumbs toward heart center. Take a moment to acknowledge yourself for making time for your practice, for your well-being, for your self-care. To not only attend to maintaining this physical form that carries us through all the days of our lives, we treat it well so that it will remain supple and carry and support us always, but also for taking time for your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, your spiritual, or if you have exception with that word, essential self. Tending to your self-care. May your heart feel full, and may it shine forward in all ways to all those you encounter. The light in me acknowledges and bows to the light in you. Jai Bhagwan and Namaste.
May we know truth. May we speak truth. And may we feel truth. Thank you for joining. Have a beautiful and blessed day. I look forward to connecting with you again every Friday at 9:30 for 75 minutes here in this Hatha flow, and on Mondays a gentle flow, also at 9:30 Pacific Central Time. It's UTC -8. Keep well. See you again.